Hi guys, thank you for tuning in for the 6th episode of the Global Sport Fanatics podcast. I'm your host, Michael Barolaro. Let's get straight into it.
That goes fast like ocean waves, that can thrill the fluid veins. Choirs lift us high, then crash, triumphant cries through sacred chains. Beneath the lights we conquer, feel the dreams are ground of strife. Heroes born from sweat and grit, forever chance through endless life. We are the raging hearts in stadiums pulse alive. Under neon glare defiant, this fever we thrive. Cold wind, biting whispers, victory within our grasp.
Okay guys, so for the last time this year, we'll start with horse racing. Since the Melbourne Cup's run, there's nothing much coming up of any interest, particularly in Australia. So we'll start with the Melbourne Cup. You've probably seen my TikTok video. That's actually done really, really well. The idea that it was such a great race, I know everyone's going on about, oh, what a race it was. Yes, it was kind of close. But anyone who watches the Melbourne Cup, if you've got some horses that you've backed, you're looking for them in the race. So you're not really worried about what's happening up front. And once you start to lose a bit of heart that your horses are doing absolutely nothing, you don't really care what happens at the finishing post. So to be honest, I didn't think it was that great a race. Look, there's some punters out there. Well done. If you can beat the bookies, good luck. I heard someone won $3.2 million. Another one won $780,000. Well, when 100 to 1 shots are winning the Melbourne Cups and 40, 50 to 1 shots are coming second, well, what do you want to happen? Look, it was a bizarre race. I mentioned last week I did a bit of content about the Melbourne Cup. It is a very hard race to pick. Ray Hadley said it best. You got lucky numbers. You got colours you like in terms of silks. You like a jockey, and just back it. It doesn't matter how good a punter you are. The Melbourne Cup is one of the toughest races to back. One thing I got right, I wrote off the favourite, Vauban. I thought I had no chance. 2 of the 4 analysts on the panel during the coverage picked Vauban to win it. Wow, what an analyst. You picked the favourite to win a Melbourne Cup. I had a red line through it. I couldn't see it doing anything. That was reaffirmed. Terrible run. You won't see it back here for a third chance. It simply can't handle the 3,200. It can't. Not at least not in Australian conditions. It didn't even have a great handicap this year. It was 55.5 kilos top weight. Couldn't even handle it. So Vauban, put a line through it. It's no champion. Some of the horses that I backed, all 4 that I thought would run a race, pretty poor. Pretty poor. Except for the one that I absolutely thought would win. That being the Bendigo Cup winner, Sea King. I've looked at the race a few times. Furious. Absolutely furious I am. You know what? Probably should have won. I would love to see the sectionals of the last 400. I think Sea King might have run the fastest 400 of the day. But just wasn't given a chance to win. But the first one I want to talk about is Buckaroo. Forget Sea King for a second. But Buckaroo, I have no idea. First of all, and I know Joe Moreira is one of the world's great jockeys. I get that. But the form James McDonald's in, I'm flabbergasted that Chris Waller actually stuck with Joe Moreira and not James McDonald. The fact that James McDonald didn't have a run in the Melbourne Cup is an absolute disgrace. The ownerships and the trainers out there, I don't know what the hell you were thinking. James, you can't have James McDonald. He was on the panel watching the race. Oh, goodness. Anyway, I'm sure that if he was on Buckaroo, he would have had every chance to win. But Joe Moreira's tactics on the day, I don't know what he was thinking. He had it about, 3 or 4 from the back. He had it very deep. Very hard to win a Melbourne Cup from there. It doesn't mean it can't be done. Let's go back to 1983 with Kiwi. But it's very hard to win a race from there. I don't care how well you can explode or not. Very, very tough. But nevertheless, I thought the tactics were poor. But I thought the absolute blunder of the century, Holly Doyle, and I shouldn't blame the jockeys and the trainers too much. At the end of the day, races unfold as they unfold. But with all due respect, Sea King, it's a 2-mile race. If you can conserve any energy, so you've got that big burst of speed towards the end, you need to take advantage of it. When you're drawn barrier 1, there's your opportunity. Now, barrier 1 in a 24-horse field You can argue it's not the best barrier, but it also is the shortest way home. And if you can jump well, get on the fence, you can go forward, you can go back, you can go midfield. You have an opportunity to sit yourself in a perfect position. Yes, you are riding for luck. I get it. But shortest way home. If I'm Sea-King, if I was Holly Doyle, what was I looking for? I was looking for Holly Doyle to jump Sea-King out. Nice jump, get on the fence, and just put yourself in a position where you're comfortable over the 2 miles. At least to the last 600. You're riding for a bit of luck. You need lanes to open up for you on the fence, but they tend to do that on the Melbourne Cup. As you swing for home, the horses tend to go across the track, and you tend to get those openings. I thought Sea-King would just sit on the fence, maybe 14, 15 back, wait for those lanes to open up, and explode. What does it do? It doesn't jump at all. It hangs back. It runs almost the entire race dead spanking last. And I'm just like, well, it's gone. I can't win this race. I know that. My tip, I've told everyone that Sea-King's going to win it. I've made it look like a fool. Tactically terrible. And then it gets towards the straight. It starts to veer off on the outside. You're running dead last. You started on the fence. You had barrier 1. And you end up being the widest horse on the track, trying to come down the middle in the Melbourne Cup from dead last, try to come around the 23 of them to win the Melbourne Cup. And I think it's finished 6th or 7th. So it motored home. Motored home. What are you doing in the middle of the track? You were on barrier 1. You're on the fence. Anyway, good luck to the winner. A great performance by the jockey. That's how you win a Melbourne Cup. I think Zardosi went a little bit early, but he did pour the pressure into the race coming home. But well done to the winner, Knight's Choice. Look, I will probably never have backed Knight's Choice prior. I probably will never back it again. I don't know if it'll ever win another race. It's just, I don't think it's that good a horse, to be honest. I don't. I did make a comment earlier in the week that based on the handicap ratings, it was a pretty weak Melbourne Cup field, and that's all with all due respect. When the top weight's riding at 55.5, you're not talking about the cream of the crop. And that's why I thought as a Bendigo Cup winner, Sea-King was an ace to win this race. But look, it hasn't happened. I'm very annoyed by the tactics. I think sometimes you can't just have one tactic ironed on and go for it. It's a 2-mile race. 2 miles will find you out every time. But when I say Sea-King finish like it did, I'm sitting there going, my goodness, it easily handled the 2 miles. Easily. It could have sat 5 or 6 further up on the fence, done as much work as it did without having to get out the back and in the middle of the track, having to come past the 23 of them. It could have waited for those lanes to open, had an opportunity, and bang. It could have won that race. In fact, I will say I think it should have won that race. So I'm a bit annoyed. It wasn't the Melbourne Cup. Everyone's spruiking and, oh, what a race, how close it was. I was watching all my horses going, what are you doing? What are you doing? What? Oh, yeah, well, yeah, good finish. I wasn't looking at the finish. I didn't care. I saw Warp Speed make a run. I'm like, really? Really? The Japanese raider, Warp Speed, seriously going to make a run here? And then Knight's Choice, really? Knight's Choice is going to beat Warp Speed to the post? Oh. Guys, that's the Melbourne Cup. It's the complete opposite of the Cox Plate. Cox Plates, you have a champion, you back it. Melbourne Cup, look, if you want the best tip for the Melbourne Cup, spend about $200 once a year, $200, and put in 200 first 4 mysteries. And you know what? Don't do them on the computer. Go to the tab and get the tickets. Because if you put it on the computer, you'll see straight away when the page reloads whether you've won anything. Not a good thing. One of the best things you can do, spend $200, go get 200 mystery $1 first 4 tickets, have them sit next to you, see the results, and enjoy the next 10, 15 minutes going through, seeing if you got those first 4 numbers. Because one of the punters that won $780,000 won it on a mystery. He did not pick the first 4. Just ran a $1 mystery. Bang, got it. If you want to win a Melbourne Cup, that's your best bet. You don't know what happens with the weights. Anyone can win it. We're seeing a plethora of big odds horses win the Melbourne Cup recently. That's my advice. $200 once a year. You're probably going to go out buying drinks anyway. Spend $200. Go to the tab. Buy 200 $1 mystery first 4 tickets. Sit them next to you. Don't do it on the computer because it'll tell you straight away whether one of your tickets got up. You don't want to see that. And enjoy going through the numbers, seeing how close you got, and you never know. You might get a winner. That Asian punter that sat there and goes, I got the top 4. I thought I won 10,000. I don't know. Let's have a look. Got to the counter. They said, you've won 780,000, champ. He was just in hysterics. He was crying. Good luck to him. I love seeing punters. They're great stories. Good luck to them. If you can get the money, go for it. Doesn't mean the bookies are hurt. It's a pool anyway, right? You're not hurting the bookies by winning in those first 4 trifectas or Quinella markets. But that's the best way to do it. I can give you the form. I will always give you the form as best I can. But the Melbourne Cup, it is an absolute lottery. But you've got 24 horses. You've got much better odds in winning than the lottery. On to the next topic. Before we get into the EPL, let's go over to the Champions League for the last 2 nights. I won't go through every result. Obviously, I'm Italian by now, so I look at the Italian results a lot more intimately, and I'm a huge EPL fan. So the Italian teams and the English teams are the ones that I'm always going to be looking at. But some huge results. Absolutely. I was so excited. AC Milan. Look, I'm not an AC Milan fan, okay? I'm a Juve fan first and foremost. I have a soft spot for Inter because of my father, and a lot of my other relatives go for Inter as well. But AC Milan, who are my enemy in the Serie A, but when it comes to Champions League, go the Italian clubs. 3-1 victory over Real Madrid in the Bernabeu. Boom. Wow, what a performance too. It wasn't luck. They were clearly the best team. I got up to watch it live, and I was astounded by the fact that Real Madrid looked so passive. So passive. The only goal they scored was from a penalty. It was a right decision, but the only goal they scored was from a penalty. But AC Milan were all over them. Extraordinary result. 3-1. Look, Real Madrid, we all know they're going to be there at the back end anyway. But AC Milan, terrific result. They've got some work to do in the Serie A, but terrific result for Italian football. We need to restore some faith. We haven't really been competitive for a long time, at least since Inter won the title back in, I don't even remember what year it was now, 2010, 2011, when Milito scored a double. But nevertheless, Juve 1-1, got out of jail against Lille. Lille, they look pretty good. They look pretty good. You've got David up front. I don't know where he's come from. I'm not a huge fan of all the international leagues, so I apologise if I've missed him, but hell of a player. But Juve actually played really, really well. They went down 1-0. They ended up scoring an equaliser via a penalty, which, again, was the right decision. But it was earned. They were really, really good. It was coming, and Vlahovic put it in the back of the net, 1-1. So well done. Liverpool, probably the Champions League and Premier League favourites at the moment. They look sensational. It was 4-0. It was a bit more of a hard-fought win than this. It was a 0-0 at half-time. A fantastic performance. They've ended up winning 4-0 over Bayer Leverkusen. Not an easy win. Bayer Leverkusen were playing very stubborn. They had the bus up in the first half. But Liverpool 4-0 finished off like a train. They look great. Mo Salah is in as good a form as I've ever seen him. I don't know if it is rumours that Mo Salah is moving on after this season, but geez, Liverpool, I don't know if Arne Slot wants to look at that again, because if Salah moves on, my goodness, the form he's in. Wow, even in the Premier League, what a cracking goal he scored against Brighton on the weekend. We'll touch on that a little bit later. But fantastic performance by Liverpool. AC Milan, great. But look, the result of the whole weekend so far. And I'm going to make a call right now. I think Sporting Lisbon, they can win the Champions League. They're that good. They're young, they're vibrant, they're athletic, they're strong, they're fast. They're the kind of team that will get decimated by the big European clubs. 100% in the next 2 years, this club will get decimated. Same as Porto, when Porto won it under Mourinho back in 2004, I think it was, against Monaco. But Sporting Lisbon, they legitimately could win this title. They've beaten Man City 4-1. And it's not that they beat them. I've never seen Man City get run off as bad as that. They were run off the ball. They could not keep up with Sporting Lisbon. Couldn't keep up. I had the game taped on another channel. I didn't want to find out the results. Man City went up 1-0. I was actually watching the game, and Foden scores early, and I'm like, oh, okay, fair enough. Not that I was going for Sporting Lisbon, but I was looking forward to a really good contest. And then I saw Foden 1-0. I thought, that's going to break their hearts a bit. I think Man City might just get into a groove now. They might make this 2-0 prior to half. No, it didn't happen. Sporting Lisbon absolutely towed them up. There was a few penalties in this, but again, the penalties came because They were getting absolutely outfoxed. They were breaking down Man City at will, and Man City were just throwing their legs, just tackling completely recklessly, and just giving away penalties. It was either, look, I'll give away a penalty, otherwise they're going to score anyway. If you haven't watched the highlights at all, go watch the goal they scored. As soon as there was 1-1 at half-time, referee blows the whistle. What a team goal. Back, across, inside, cuts it inside, passes through, ball, goal. I was like, what? 25 seconds into the second half, and it was 2-1. What a team goal. It was a training drill, but they're doing it against Man City. Against Man City. Incredible performance. They are a contender. They could win the Champions League. We'll see in a few months if I'm correct. Don't be surprised. I think Liverpool and Real Madrid are the favourites, don't get me wrong. But if Sporting Lisbon win, just remember these words. Other results, anything of note. Big result this morning, Inter beat Arsenal 1-0. Arsenal starting to struggle. I don't know, even in the Premier League, things are not working out. They're not playing bad, but things are starting to fall off a little bit of a cliff. Inter 1-0, well done to Inter at home. You got to hold serve at home, and they've done it. So Bayern Munich 1-0 over Benfica. They're the Champions League results of any real note. Now, on to the Premier League. I love the Premier League. Geez, they've got some good games in the Premier League. Even games where you think, I'll watch this just for the hell of it, and my goodness, they can put up some performances. But if we go to the results of the last week, of note, Man United and Chelsea 1-1. Ruud van Nistelrooy now the manager of Man United. That's fair enough. They do look like they've got a good attitude there now. Look, it was 1-1. It was a cracking equaliser by Chelsea. It is what it is. Man United couldn't get the win, but they look good. They look better. They look hungry. The crowd is living every moment. Ruud van Nistelrooy on the sideline, living every moment. He's Man United royalty, so well done. Tottenham Hotspur, very impressive, 4-1. Leicester City and Ipswich Town was a good game. So this is what I'm talking about. You never think, Ipswich Town and Leicester City, you put it on, you're watching a cracker. Anyway, I thought it was a great game. Liverpool and Brighton, another really good game. Brighton, they came to play. They took the lead. Liverpool looked just a little bit too much class in the end. A little bit too much class. A bit of luck with the first goal from Gapco. He crossed it in. It missed everyone. It went into the net. These things happen. But there's no doubt about the second goal. Mo Salah, wow. Coming down the right-hand side, cuts it in on the left foot, just angles his body, bang, top corner. Look, it's a lot of quality strikers. It's pretty easy for him, but you've got to execute it. And Mo Salah, he has just got the ball on a string at the moment. So, look, well done to them. Newcastle 1-0 over Arsenal. And other results, a huge upset. I mentioned a few weeks ago that Bournemouth had just initiated the biggest result in their history by beating Arsenal. Even taking into account that Arsenal had a red card, the biggest result in their history. 3 weeks later, they've gone past it already. Bournemouth, look, regardless of what happens, Bournemouth are having a great season, and they've now knocked off the champions 2-1. They've beaten Man City. So Man City, again, they're struggling. Man City, this habit of conceding early doesn't seem to be going away. Now, they've conceded in the 8th minute. They should have conceded in the 2nd. And this is a really dangerous habit they're picking up. Obviously, it didn't haunt them in the Champions League, but they ended up losing that 4-1 anyway. But 2-1 losing to Bournemouth, they are in problem. They've got some issues now. Liverpool are starting to kick away with this. Liverpool aren't going to give this up. Man City, they've got to get their head screwed on because they're starting to lose touch with Liverpool at the moment. But Bournemouth, 2-1, great game to watch. I watched every minute of it live. One of the more tense games I've ever seen. There was a period at about 68th, 70th minute, around about where Bournemouth should have put the game away. Open net, and they just fluffed it. Should have been 3-0. And you just got the sense at that time. It's just going to have a grandstand finish. I don't think Bournemouth are going to win this 2-0. Man City, they got a goal in them. And if they get one, they can get two real quick. And they scored 81st minute, a cracking goal. Beautiful cross in, Gundogan, and just a ripper of a header. Not an easy header. If you haven't watched it, that is not easy. 7 or 8 metres out, turns his head, hits it with power into the top corner. Not easy to execute. Well done. 2-1, and you're looking at the clock on 81 minutes. There's probably going to be some stoppage time. There was 5 minutes, so you're looking 14, 15 minutes to go. Oh, my goodness. I was so tense. I was going for Bournemouth. I was screaming, hoping, biting my nails. Because it's just good to see that happen. It was a great performance by Bournemouth. Man City threw the kitchen sink at him in that last 15 minutes. I'm not quite sure how the ball didn't go in the net a few times, but nevertheless, what a result for Bournemouth, 2-1. So at the moment, you've got Liverpool on 25, Man City on 23, so they're still pretty close, but that was a devastating result for Man City. Nottingham Forest on 19. Nottingham Forest are on 19 points. What? Has anyone seen that coming? What are Nottingham Forest doing in third spot? Where have they come from? Unbelievable. Chelsea on 18, Arsenal on 18, Aston Villa on 18, Tottenham up to 16, Brighton have dropped down, but they're still on 16. You've got Fulham on 15, Bournemouth on 15th and 10th spot, and then Newcastle on 15 and 11th spot, and the rest of them are out of contention as far as I'm concerned. Nottingham Forest are coming third. What is going on? Where did that happen? Where on earth did that happen? Well done to them. Nothing against them. Nottingham Forest. Look, Nottingham Forest, they're not the most successful club of all time, but they had their moments I believe in the 80s where they were winning everything. So I think for a sense of history, it's great that Nottingham Forest are performing well, but I didn't see this coming. They're on 19 points. I don't think they're a threat to win the title. Liverpool 6 points clear at the moment. 6 points clear of Nottingham Forest, I should say. But they're in third spot. Can they hold on for a Champions League spot? I mean, that would be incredible. Next week, some games to look forward to. Chelsea and Arsenal, always a big one, regardless of how well they're playing. Man United and Leicester City should be a good one. Obviously, based on what I just said, Nottingham Forest and Newcastle United. Nottingham Forest at home. Let's see if they can keep it going. They're just snuck up on everyone. Brighton and Man City in Brighton. That could be an interesting one. Brighton, we're going to find out how real they are now because the wheels could start to fall off if they drop another game. Brentford and Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, Fulham, West Ham United versus Everton, Wolves and Southampton, nothing much there. Liverpool, Aston Villa, that would be one to watch. So they're the games to take note of for next week. Enjoy your soccer. On to the next topic. Okay, guys, on to some NBA action now. Got a game going live at the moment. We have Golden State 60, Boston 50. Looking like a pretty good game. It's at the Garden, so far it's looking like an upset. Here come Boston, 60 to 52. Keep you updated as we go along. Anyway, NBA, missed the topic last week, ran out a bit of time. At the moment, look, I'm not going to go through every game. As you know, there is a plethora of games that happen every single day, and it would just be wasting time, and I think everyone would just get bored and tune out my NBA content if I was just to give you score rundown. So I'm not going to go through that. What I will do is I'll give you a little bit of an update of the standings and where we're sitting at the moment. So a little bit unusual at the moment. We're 8 games in, and if I am wrong in saying this, I apologise, and I'm happy for anyone to hit me up at mike@globalsportfanatics.com or any of my socials. But I'm not sure I ever recall a year where 8 games into a season, both conference leaders are undefeated. That's a pretty good effort. Now, Oklahoma City have only played the 7 games, admittedly so, but they're 7-0. I like the Thunder. Can they win it? I think they can win it. I do. A lot of people have said, no, they're too young. They were good last year, got the number 1 seed. Probably got caught out for inexperience last year, but now they're coming back again. They're 7-0. Look, it's a long way, and that's why with this content, I want to be careful how much I analyse the NBA because we're only at 10% the way through the season. It's an 82-game stretch, so what are you going to do? But 7-0, bloody good start. Cleveland Cavaliers, I did not see this coming. They're 8-0, but they're looking really good. They're looking sensational. Are Cleveland a title contender? Look, I still got Boston number 1 in the East, but Cleveland look absolutely sensational. They're led by Donovan Mitchell, but he's not scoring 35, 40 plus a game. He's averaging, 22, 23, 24, somewhere around that. But they've got snipers everywhere. They're great defensively. Look, they're 8-0. They're doing nothing wrong. We'll reconvene in a few weeks. We'll see. I'm sure they won't be undefeated by then. But look, we'll reconvene our NBA topic in a few weeks, and we'll see where Cleveland are at the moment. At the moment, the top 6 in the Eastern Conference: Cleveland, Boston, Miami, New York, Brooklyn, Chicago, right? So a little bit odd. So if you look at the Chicago Bulls, they're coming 6th. They're 3-4 record. So the East performing pretty poorly at the moment. Milwaukee coming last, 1-6. Philly 1-5. We're going to go into Philly a little bit in a second regarding Joel Embiid. But the East are performing really poorly at the moment. The fact that you've got the Miami Heat 3-3 in 3rd position, New York at 3-3 in 4th position, Brooklyn are 4-4. Chicago 3-4, and they're in the top 6. Again, early days. But Cleveland, well done, 8-0. Boston 7-1. They're going to be there. You know what Boston's capable of doing. Over in the West are performing much better at the moment. The top 6 ends with the Dallas Mavericks, who are 4-3, so they have a winning record. Los Angeles, they're 4-3 as well. Houston are 4-3. Golden State Warriors, bit of a surprise. I think everyone assumed that the dynasty was going to come to an end when Klay Thompson left, but they're 6-1. They're beating the Celtics right now. They look good. Buddy Hield, he's been a sensation for him. I don't know if anyone saw that coming. But Steph Curry's doing his job. He's leading in the averages. He's not scoring astronomical numbers, but he facilitates. He gets other people involved. Draymond Green, defensively, is playing excellent. He's playing lights out today. Look, I like what I see. Phoenix, look, it's good to see Phoenix. They're 6-1. They've got a really good big three there. Kevin Durant, you can make an argument he's the best player in the world. On his day, he's just an absolute gun. 6-1, looking good, Phoenix. And I hope they go good. I want to see a competitive final series. I think when the playoffs run around, if Phoenix have a good seeding, they're going to be one to watch. They're a serious contender getting to the finals. So Phoenix, Golden State, 2nd and 3rd at the moment, but OKC 7-0. Can't argue with them. Going great. In terms of who would be leading the MVP race at the moment, again, we're 10% into the season. Let's not go nuts. But Anthony Davis absolutely is the MVP. If he keeps doing what he's doing, his numbers, what's his numbers? 33, 12, and 3, 2 blocks a game, 2 steals a game. 33, 12. Wow. He is playing so well, Anthony Davis. It's great. It's about time. He's always been regarded as a top 5, top 10 player for at least, or probably since he was with the Pelicans, to be fair. Injuries is his biggest concern. But fingers crossed. At the moment, he's handling his injuries really, really well. So fingers crossed. At the moment, Denver's starting to make a move. They were dead last the last time I did some content. They're up to 4-3 now. Jokic is playing some good basketball. Utah Jazz, bottomless at the moment, 1-6. I didn't see that coming. I thought Utah would be okay. The Pelicans are 3-5. So this is what I'm talking about. The Western Conference looks a lot more loaded than the East. You've got the New Orleans Pelicans sitting at 3-5 and they're 14th in the West. You've got the Chicago Bulls sitting 3-4. They're 6th in the East. So early season, I think you're going to see a lot of this change. But at the moment, the Western Conference looks absolutely loaded. And when you go through it, to be fair, you've got San Antonio, who 3-4. They're doing better than I thought. Obviously, they got Wemby up front there, but they're going better than I thought. But to be honest, Utah Jazz, I don't know why they're at 1-6. I thought they were a better team than that. But the Pelicans at 3-5, coming 14th in the Western Conference. You got the Pelicans, you got the Trailblazers, Spurs, Clippers 3-4, Grizzlies are 4-4. Did you see Ja Morant's 360 layup? Oh my goodness! Are you serious? Are you serious with that? That is all-star muck around, just street ball stuff. And he's doing it in the NBA. Guys, you've got to see it. He was playing Brooklyn. Ja Morant 360. Go to YouTube. Ja Morant 360. Just type that in. What an absolute peach of a play. It was so good to watch. He's a great player, Ja Morant. I don't like his reputation. He's all the idiotic stuff with the gun and the Instagram and all that rubbish last year. If he gets his head on right, he's got his whole career to get it right. He could be one of the greatest of all time. I really wish him the best because you know what? I'm a sports fan first and foremost. I want to see these players on the court and I want to see them performing. And on that topic, Joel Embiid. I've got a bit of sympathy for Joel Embiid. I was a little bit harsh a few weeks ago, but I got a little bit of sympathy for him. I think he should be on the court and playing. But look, he's been suspended for 3 more games once he is ready by putting his hands on a journalist. It's never a good idea. It doesn't matter if you've got reason to do it. You don't put your hands on anyone. Anyone. There's no reason to do it. He should have had the moral high ground. But I've got to tell you, the journalist, and I've forgotten his name. Nah, it's gone. Look, he just got too personal. I didn't have a problem with what he wrote up until the time he started talking about his brother who died in a car crash and his son who was named after his brother. Just leave it out. Just don't mention anything. Just don't get personal. Journalistic integrity. I'm not a journalist, but I know that journalistic integrity, absolutely, you never ever mention someone's family. So yes, Joel Embiid had every right to be furious, but you know what, Joel? You can't put your hands on anyone. You can't do it. Especially when you're 7'2". You could crush this man. You just can't do it. And he's been suspended for 3 games. Philly's got this new stadium. They've got a good team. Tyrese Maxey he scored the third most points of anyone this year. He is carrying the team at the moment, but they're coming second last. They're 1-5. Again, a long way to go in the season, but now we're worried about Joel Embiid when he's going to come back, and now he's got another 3-game suspension. I'm so concerned about this Tyrese Maxey. He's only a young man. He's so talented. He's in my top 10 in the NBA right now. I know he wasn't on the dream team. I get it. But in terms of players you love to watch, and there's a few players, even Cunningham from Detroit. I know he's not in the top echelon of players. Love watching him play, though. Detroit, I mean, they're not that good, but they're coming 10th. They're 3-5. They're not going that bad, but Cunningham's the one carrying him, right? But I'm devastated to see Tyrese Maxey absolutely killing himself day in, day out, night in, night out. And you should have just about the best player in the NBA in your team on the floor helping you out. And he's not there. He's not there. And here we are 6 games in and he's still injured. But now he's got another 3 games because of a suspension. Anyway, long way to go. Look, I'm not a Phillies fan. In NBA, I don't really have a team. I follow players, right? It's not like the NFL where I am an avid Pittsburgh fan. But I love players, and Tyrese Maxey is a player that has gained my attention, and I now follow Philly more because I want to see what Tyrese Maxey is doing. He's playing great, but they're 1-5. Geez, Milwaukee, 1-6. This gamble with Damian Lillard and Drew Holiday, I actually said it at the time. I didn't have a platform at the time, but I actually mentioned it. I didn't like it. I thought they had a good balance. But Damian Lillard and Giannis, it's not working. It's not working. Doc, what's going on? They put you in there. Apparently the last coach was no good. What's going on? He has a losing record, and you've got Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Wow. And they've got some other weapons too. You've still got Brook Lopez. They've still got some Lopez and a few other snipers there. Milwaukee Bucks stone cold last. Again, early in the year. But it's not a good sign when you're 1-6. There's a lot of ground to cover. The saving grace for the Milwaukee Bucks is they're playing in the East. And as I mentioned, you've got 6th place at the moment, Chicago Bulls with only 3 wins. That's a saving grace. But I just don't like what I'm seeing. This is a team that should have a lot more chemistry than they do. This is a former champion only a few years ago. They've replaced Drew Holiday. They've put in Damian Lillard, and they're not going any good. Very, very bizarre. Update on this game, you've got Golden State 70, Boston 64. I think it's going to go a good finish. Yeah, Boston were down by how much a few days ago against Indiana? Came roaring back, ended up losing in overtime. That's their only loss for the season. But Boston Celtics never did. Paul George playing tonight. Good to see. Okay, so that is the NBA for now. Joel, get back on the court. Get fit. Take your 3-game suspension and go help Tyrese Maxey because 1-5, because the East is so weak in terms of wins, season is not over at the moment. But another 5 or 10 games, if you're 1-15, it's good night. I don't care how good Joel Embiid is. It's good night. On to the next topic. Okay, guys, on to the NFL for episode 6. Just going over the results of last week. Jets 21-13 over the Texans. 27-21 Falcons over the Cowboys. We'll talk about the Cowboys in a moment. Ravens 41 over the Broncos 10. Very impressive. Bills 30 over the Dolphins 27. This was a tight game. It's great to see Tua back. They look like a different team, but the season has got away from the Dolphins now. They're 2-6, so they're gone. 23-22 the Panthers over the Saints. Oh, that was a hard one to watch. That was one I had to skip through. The Bengals 41-24 over the Raiders, so they're still in contention in their division there. The Browns, they're gone. 27-10, the Chargers have beaten the Browns in Cleveland. They're 2-7 now, the Browns. Finished. Commanders 27-22 over the Giants. Not a great performance, this one by the Commanders. It was an okay game, but, you know, job done. 7-2, leading their division. 20 points to 17, the Titans defeating the Patriots. 29-9, the Cardinals over the Bears. Really disappointing result from the Bears. They're 4-4, but I think they're done. And it's not because Caleb Williams is doing anything wrong. Their division is just too strong. 3 teams that are just too good. You got the Lions, you got the Packers, you got the Vikings, and they're just making too much headway now. Even on a potential where a third-place team could make the playoffs. I think in that division, a team finishing third will make the playoffs. I'm thinking probably the Vikings at this point. But the Bears, look, they're coming last. I just can't see them winning now. They're 2 games behind the Vikings, who are coming third, and the Vikings have a very good record. So I think you can almost put a line through the Bears halfway through the season. Eagles 28-23 over the Jags. It wasn't a great performance by the Eagles. Lawrence, you've got to say, has probably cost him the game here. He's only thrown for 169 yards, I believe, and his completion rate was like 51%, and he threw 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, and they've lost by 5. Oh, ouch. That's look, I haven't seen it, but I think from memory there was something around that. It was horrible. Trevor Lawrence, geez, he's neither here nor there at the moment. I just don't know if he's going to be that quarterback everyone thought he was going to be. He was terrific at Clemson. I got no issues with that. I don't know. He just doesn't seem to make enough good decisions. Lions, very, very impressive. You know, another serious contender. I thought they might struggle without Hutchinson, but they keep winning. They're 24-14 win over the Packers. Packers are a strong team. Lambeau Field, wet night. You don't often come away from Lambeau Field with a win. And this game was, it was 24-6. The Packers, they scored a touchdown, went for a 2-point conversion and got it, which brought it into 10 points, but they were never really any threat of being headed. The Lions, they're really impressive at the moment. And what I love about them is not only do they have a 2-pronged running game, which seems to be unstoppable with Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, but their defense is really good. We know they can sling the ball, and Jared Goff at the moment, he's making a serious case for MVP. Am I going nuts? I don't know. I'm just telling you what I see. He's looked great. He looks like he's had the shackles are gone. He was always a much maligned quarterback. People said that Sean McVay was always in his ear at the Rams, and he couldn't trust him to take his own calls and run audibles or any of that, call the plays at the line. So Sean McVay was just telling him what to do, and he was just a robot. But I think Dan Campbell has just released the shackles and said, go play. You're a former number 1 draft pick. You've been to a Super Bowl. You know what you're doing. Go throw the ball. And he's throwing it, with incredibly high completion rates. He's making his throws. There's nothing that's sort of wavering. He's always hitting his men. He throws it into coverage, but his receivers are holding the ball. He seems to be playing with no weight on his shoulders at the moment. And good luck to him. But look, I'd love to see Detroit win it. Detroit, they're a pleasure to watch. They're probably my favorite team to watch at the moment. When I say I'd love to see them win it, obviously I want my Steelers to win it, but I'm being a little bit more realistic. I don't think the Steelers are in this class. But 24-14 against the Packers in Green Bay, it was a divisional. They took them to pieces. There was a great moment when you knew that Detroit was real. 24-6. Packers, they needed to come up with a touchdown. They were 2nd and 1. They couldn't get the yards. They were 3rd and 1. They got it to 4th and 1, and they had to go for it. They were, 12 yards from the end zone. They had to go for it, went through a run, and they got stopped in their tracks. Incredible defensive period for the Detroit Lions to stop Green Bay, who were 2nd and 1, and they could not get that extra yard to get another set of downs, which would have given them 1st and goal. When Green Bay absolutely needed a touchdown, and they turned them away. All the stuff they've ever done since Dan Campbell's been there, I would bet that Dan Campbell was more proud of that sequence than anything they've ever done. And that includes getting to the NFC Championship game last year. I really believe that was his proudest moment as a coach, and good luck to him. We all love Dan Campbell. He can be a bit erratic with his calls, but he is one of the most inspirational head coaches I've ever seen. Go the Lions. Well done to them. 24-14. The Rams, this division's flipped on its head. So the Rams have now come up and they've beaten the Seahawks at the Hawks Nest in a divisional, 26-20. 11, I think it was. I remember Cooper Kupp had a huge game. He received the ball 11 times, 104 yards, 14 targets. So he's almost caught it every time. That's incredible. Matthew Stafford, 25 from 44, 298, threw an interception, but 2 touchdowns. He's playing good. I like Matthew Stafford. He throws the ball. Pakua didn't really have an impact, but 26-20. The Los Angeles Rams are now 2nd in that division. They were looking like they were gone. Getting some plays back. They're now 2nd in the division. And the team that was leading the division for such a long time, the Seahawks, are now stone cold last. So this division has completely flipped on its head. And it's the Cardinals that are winning the division, not the 49ers. I mean, admittedly, the 49ers have had a week off, but the Cardinals lead the division. The Rams are coming 2nd. The 49ers and the Seahawks are now stone cold last. I don't know. But, you figure it out. Vikings 21-13 over the Colts. They're 6-2 now, the Vikings, but they seem to have lost a bit of spark. I expected a big win in this game. It didn't really happen. Anyway, they're 6-2. I think they're still looking good for the playoffs. They might have to qualify for the playoffs from third spot in the wild card, but nevertheless, playoffs are playoffs. As long as you get there, you get there. You don't have to finish the top two. 30 points to 24. Chiefs beating the Buccaneers. Now, the controversy to come out of this game, and I have to say I do side on the side of the analysts here. Tampa Bay leveled it up with only seconds to go, 24 all. Was it a risk to go for a 2-point conversion? Yes. Was it necessary? Yes. That was a mistake. That was a mistake by Todd Bowles. 24 all playing for overtime. You're giving Patrick Mahomes a chance to win the game. And when he got the ball, he drove him all the way upfield and put him in the end zone, and they won 30 points to 24. No disrespect to the Chiefs. They're due for a loss, but they're 8-0. They're not looking like they're going to lose anytime soon. But the Buccaneers, this is a game they probably did need to win. I don't think a lot of people expected them to win, but they did come in with a bit of an ambush. Baker threw the ball well. They ran the ball well. Chiefs didn't play that great, to be fair. That's a bit of a recurring theme. Not playing great and winning. They seem to be doing it all the time. But when you go into a place like Arrowhead, I understand the idea, if you don't make your 2-point conversion, you've lost the game 24-23. Did you ever think you were going to win? Did Todd Bowles actually think they were going to win? You've been given a golden chance to either win it or lose it on one play. All you need to do is to convert a 2-point conversion. Now, the Chiefs, Spagnuolo is excellent defending 2-point conversions, and the Chiefs have this ability to come up with huge stops when they need to. So there's every chance that if Todd Bowles went for it, they would have missed and lost 24-23. That's still a good result. I know it's all about the win, but you have to factor in what's on the other side of the ball. And with Patrick Mahomes there, you cannot give him a chance to get the ball in overtime and go again. You just can't. You have a chance to win it 25-24 right then and there, and there's nothing Patrick Mahomes can do. Now, look, there was about, 20-something seconds on the clock. Could Patrick Mahomes have done something? We saw what he did against Buffalo with 13 seconds in a divisional championship, in a divisional game. I get that, but you're asking him to do it again. And I would have liked those odds a lot more than let's get this to 24 all, let's get it to overtime, and let's get a stop, get back on the field and try to win it. You're doing it all again. You can't give Patrick Mahomes a chance to get the ball back. He did, and they've won. And you've cost yourself a victory. This is a game, I think the Bucs should have won this game. They should have won it. Would they have got the 2-point conversion? I don't know. But at the end of the day, no one expected you to win. If you went for it and you missed, and you lose 24-23, I still don't think it's a disgrace. But you're given a chance to win it right then. It is a toss of a coin. You either win it or lose it on this play. But Patrick Mahomes doesn't get a say in the result. He's off the field. All he can do is watch. That has to be a factor in your decision-making. Obviously, Todd Bowles is a much better coach than I'll ever be. I get that. And I think he's doing a wonderful job, by the way. I have a lot of respect for Todd Bowles. But I just got a feeling it was the Kansas City Chiefs that got to him. But great game to watch. Nevertheless, great game to watch. Kansas City, look, 8-0. The one game we're going to talk about beforehand, because I got a question here from... he hit me up on my socials. His name is Jack. He lives at Pendle Hill in Sydney. That's close to me, Pendle Hill. And basically he's asking me, I mentioned the Cowboys on my last thread are going to be potentially red line through them. Without Dak Prescott, he's basically saying, without Dak Prescott, can you officially confirm that you believe that the Dallas Cowboys are absolutely gone for the year? It's out of Dak Prescott's hands. There's nothing to do with him anymore. They're 3-5, the Cowboys. This is a game they could not afford to lose. Falcons are going really good. I'm not trying to disrespect the Falcons, but the Dallas Cowboys, you should be able to beat the Falcons. I don't care where they were playing. I know they were playing in Atlanta. I get it. But you have to win. You have to win. I wasn't that impressed with how he played. His numbers weren't great. He got injured. He's probably going to miss a few weeks. Are they going to go with Cooper Rush? Are they going to bring in Trey Lance? Look, Trey Lance, for whatever reason, it doesn't look like they're going to give him a shot. That's just my opinion. It doesn't look like they're going to give him a shot. Cooper Rush, he'll probably come in. He's done okay whenever he's got an opportunity, he's done okay. But Dallas are done. It's finished. And this has nothing to do with Dak Prescott anymore. I don't think he should have been re-signed. This is all on Jerry Jones. It's all on Jerry Jones. The inactivity in the off-season, some of the picks in the draft, they've just fluffed this. This organisation has absolutely stuffed it up. They're obsessed with the sound of their own voice. Micah Parsons coming out during the week on radio going, I haven't heard the fat lady sing yet. You know why? I'll tell you why. Because the fat lady's in the crowd with her husband, the relatives, the fans, and they're all singing the same song, so you can't actually hear her. It's over. And I think this is the problem with the Dallas Cowboys. I think they think they're really good. I really believe they think they're a great organisation, and this team has what it takes to somehow come back. It's out of their at this point. It's just about out of their hands. We're 50% through the season right now. They're 3-5, and they've got Washington at 7-2 and Philly at 6-2. How do you make the playoffs from there? Even the chance that as a third place team, can you somehow make the playoffs? They're just not going well enough. They're just not going well enough. So they're done. Sorry, Jack, but they're done. I know you're a diehard Cowboys supporter, but they're done. Forget about it. It's over. I don't know if they're going to move on from Dak Prescott. I keep saying I don't know why they signed him for $60 million. It doesn't make sense to me. I think you look at your recruitment, your retention, you try to look at your draft, you try to trade for draft picks and try to rebuild. It's the Dallas Cowboys. Get your football in order again. Jerry Jones, there's been a bit of a story, I've been watching it on Facebook, going that Mike Vrabel might be in the mix to take over from Mike McCarthy if Jerry Jones pulls the trigger. Well, I've got a lot of time for Mike Vrabel. I think he's a good head coach, and he's not going to take any rubbish, which means I don't know how he's going to work with Jerry Jones. Because Mike McCarthy, I'm not a huge fan, but he's the kind of coach that I think will stay quiet and do whatever Jerry Jones says. This is why Jerry Jones needs a GM. I don't think Vrabel's a terrible idea. Get yourself a GM and stand back and be the owner. You and your boys, just be the ownership team. Get a GM to come in there and look over the football operations. This is silly. This is getting stupid now. But they all still believe there's some bold restoration plan where it's just going to fix. Are you telling me that now Mike McCarthy's no good and now you might sack him and bring in Mike Vrabel? You could have sacked him at the beginning of the year. You could have sacked him after that horrendous performance against Green Bay. You could have looked at your salary cap position and not give Dak Prescott $60 million a year. You've given him $60 million a year. I don't know what you're doing. You've drafted poorly. You've recruited nothing. Your retention's been terrible. But where I get really concerned is when I get players like Micah Parsons coming out saying, I haven't heard the fat lady sing. Go get your ears checked because she is deafening at the moment. You're kidding yourself. The whole Dallas organization is kidding himself. I'm not critical of Dallas Cowboys because I think it's funny and it's good to make fun of them. I want the Dallas Cowboys to go good. I live in Australia, guys. In Australia, I love the NFL. I watch every team. I support them all. I don't care. But there's only a few teams that actually create interest in the NFL in this country, right? The Dallas Cowboys are one of them. The other one is the 49ers, huge contingent of 49ers fans internationally. They're a huge franchise. And the Patriots. Now, the Patriots, it's starting to die down a bit, but every second person's a Patriots fan in Australia because of what Tom Brady did for 20 plus years. And because the Super Bowl, so many Australian fans only watch the Super Bowl, which they shouldn't. We'll get into that in another time about what makes a proper NFL fan, not the Super Bowl watchers or anything like that. But because the Super Bowl is really the only time Australia embraces the NFL, besides the real diehards like myself and a few others, it's the Super Bowl. It's not even the playoffs. It's the Super Bowl. And Tom Brady has been there how many times? 10 times. Just with, 9 times just with the Pats, 10 times all up. So as a result, the Patriots still have a huge fan base in Australia. But the other two are the Dallas Cowboys and the 49ers. Teams like the Chiefs, etc., they never get a mention. No one supports the Chiefs in Australia. No one cares. It's Kansas City. No one cares. The Giants have a bit of support. Historically, anything New York in Australia does seem to carry some weight. But those are the big three. So I want Dallas to go good because it creates a talking point in the society. It creates something that we can actually say, hey, let's discuss some NFL. Do you want to go watch some NFL with me? The Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, I know the Cowboys. Let's go watch it. But, you know, the Dallas Cowboys performing as poorly as they do, I can't get people out to watch the Falcons play the Texans. Not in Australia. No one cares. I'll watch it, but no one cares. But you put the Cowboys in there, that's a different story. When I was in Melbourne last year watching the Cowboys play Green Bay, and it was packed. I had to go down there for business a few weeks later, and it was the 49ers and the Lions, and it was okay. It was okay, but there was no Lions fans. But the game prior to that, I went to the same pub because it was that same morning when it was the Chiefs and the Ravens, who were the two of the better teams. There was no one there. It was me, it was the guy at the bar, and it was some other guy there. That was it. When the 49ers started, a few people came in. But a few weeks prior, when it was the Packers and the Cowboys, you couldn't move in there. Why? Because it's the Cowboys. They're still a great franchise from that point of view. But their performances on the field are not doing it justice. Anyway, that's my take for the NFL for this week. On to the next topic. Okay, guys, on to my Rugby League take for this week. Before we get into that, Boston 99, Golden State 98 with 3 minutes left in the fourth. Change that, Golden State 100, Boston 99. This is going to be a great finish, this one. Anyway, I digress. On to the Rugby League. So, a fascinating result last week means we have a cracking event happening at CommBank Stadium. I'll definitely get out there. At CommBank Stadium this Sunday between Tonga and Australia. It's going to be a sea of red out there. Look, unfortunately, you know, New Zealand, so many players have pulled out of this tournament that they've allowed Tonga to come in and sneak a final spot. Look, that's terrific for the international game. I've already told you I'm not going to go into the international ideas the way I did before, but it's fantastic for the game to see a team like Tonga now competing in this final. And I don't know whether or not it's going to go all Australia's way, to be honest. Tonga were pretty impressive against Australia a few weeks back, despite the fact losing 18-0. They're going to have the groundswell of support there. And New Zealand, look, very disappointing campaign. Again, so many players injured, rested, didn't want to play, whatever you want to say. But very disappointing from the Kiwis. They were down 24-0 at this stage. They did well to get it back to 24-all. A field goal to Katoa to make it 25-24. There was a period late in the game where the Kiwis had a chance to tie it up. Jermaine Hisako had all the time in the world and he missed it. But if you go back in the replay, the marker from Tonga was so far out of position, so offside, and the referees just ignored it. It should have been a penalty to the Kiwis right in front. Oh, look, I'm glad they didn't blow it. I'm so happy that Tonga won the game. But it wasn't one of those you look back and go, oh, they've missed that. At the time, the Tongan player, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Ola Kawatu. I'd have to go back and look at it. But he never even bothered to get square. He was near the side of the ruck. The ball was played and he just charged Sean Johnson. The ball somehow got back to Asako, who had all the time in the world. How he didn't kick the field goal, I'm not really sure. Jermaine Asako, one of the best exponents of the field goal. He hit it, nicely enough, don't worry. But the accuracy wasn't there. I'm not sure what happened, but nevertheless, but you can't miss that call. It's cost him the game. Look, you're down 24-0. Maybe you didn't deserve to win the game. But it did cost him the game. That would have been a shot in front with seconds to go to win it, and it would have been 26-25, game over. But it wouldn't have been a just result anyway. I'm just saying, it's a bit of a controversy. Referees can have a huge impact on the game. They don't want to blow the whistle in those times, and I understand that. They don't want to influence the game, but sometimes by not blowing the whistle, you have influenced the game. That's the problem, right? But nevertheless, Tonga and Australia at CommBank Stadium in the final this Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock. I'll definitely be there. I'll take some footage for you guys. I think it's going to be an awesome event. Now, there's some other issues that are coming in Rugby League. There was something coming out regarding AJ Brimson. I think everyone needs to pump the brakes a little bit with this. I was surprised when I saw the Facebook post coming out ostracising him as someone who's potentially gambled on Rugby League. Look, he's shared a screenshot which shows a $10,000 winning on a $100 bet when Knight's Choice won the Melbourne Cup. Now, as you know, if you do have a sports bet account, you can see all your bets in one big page. So they've taken a screenshot. It's got Knight's Choice there, 10,000 win, and then underneath it, allegedly, and we haven't seen it because he's taken it down, but allegedly the people who saw it prior to the post being taken down said that the next line down was a bet regarding rugby league. Some have said it might have been a first try scorer. Look, I'm not really sure, but I haven't seen it. But apparently it was rugby league, and it must have been because I don't know what the hoopla is about if it wasn't rugby league related. But here's the thing: his manager Jim Bannigan has come out and said, "No, it's not the case. We've already got the look." Yes, AJ did share the screenshot. Probably shared it a bit cheekily, like he came up with it. But once he did it, he was very defiant. He goes, "No, it wasn't me. It was my cousin. It wasn't anything to do with me. He won it. I was just sharing it." I've done that plenty of times. It's not an issue at all. There's nothing illegal in that. But the sports bet account had the trail which had Knight's Choice, followed by a rugby league bet. Now, if his cousin put it on, well, then there's nothing illegal in that. He can do whatever he wants. But rugby league players are not allowed to bet on anything rugby league related for obvious reasons. Right? People might say, what's the harm if it's not a game he's involved in? It doesn't matter. Inside knowledge, are players fixing stuff behind, and it's not a good look, right? So you just cannot bet on rugby league, and I totally respect that, and I support that decision. But at the end of the day, his manager's come out and he said, it's not the case. We've got the proof that it was the account of his cousin, and there's nothing to see here. So I don't know why there was articles written about it. It was a very, very premature article. And I don't like it. And I don't like it for this reason. Because as soon as you post something like that, it stains. And people just go, "Oh, you're a cheater." They won't follow up on the result. "Oh, you're a cheater. You bet on games, this and that." It's not really fair on AJ Brimson. I mean, in hindsight, maybe you shouldn't have screenshotted it. Advice to any rugby league players: don't screenshot any winnings. First of all, you're very, very wealthy. You make a lot of money. There are a lot of hardworking people out there. You don't need to show that as a millionaire. When you factor in whatever his contract would be, it would be over the $1 million mark. Maybe not annually, but altogether. There are a lot of hardworking people out there that are struggling to make a dollar in this economy. And you're spruiking that you won $10,000 on the Melbourne Cup. It's just not a good look anyway. To be fair, it's just not a good look. But we all need to lay off him. Now, if it is found that it was him, he's going to be in huge trouble. Now, if he does, then he has the most idiotic agent I've ever seen. And the reason I say that is because it takes 2 seconds to verify if it was AJ's account or someone else's. 2 seconds. AJ, you got a sports bet account? Open it up. Let's have a look at your trail. Bang. It's you. That's your bet. Why are you saying that's your bet, not your cousin's? 2-second job. It's the easiest thing to do. So if you've come out and you've said, look, it's a relative, that's fine. Just make sure you're correct. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm going to come out and say nothing to see here, but just be correct about this, because you are going to make things so much worse for your client. And AJ Brimson, if he's gone along with this, even though he knows that he's done it, he could end up costing himself a huge fine. It might even be career-ending. I'm not too sure how serious the NRL will take potential betting on games. I'm not too sure, but I don't think that's the case. I think the agency would know, or his agent would know, that it's a pretty easy win if he can just prove that it's come from a screenshot based on his cousin's account. And I think that would be the end of it. So I don't know why that didn't play out. Journalists can sometimes get trigger fingers and they just release stuff because they want the story. But if that's all it was, what a dumb story. It's just silly. Well, why'd you do that? Well, why? You've now smeared AJ Brimson. People who won't follow up on the story, they're going to stick to the narrative that AJ Brimson is now betting on rugby league games. Even though AJ Brimson's brought it on himself, shouldn't have screenshotted and sent anything. But why? Why do it? Anyway, that's my thoughts on AJ Brimson, and I don't like it, but that's my thoughts on what it is. Look, there's not much else happening in rugby league outside the final this Sunday, so we won't talk about anything else regarding rugby league. On to the next topic. Okay, guys, the first time we're going to talk about the Olympics. This one's going to be a little bit of a funny one. Look, I love track and field, by the way, and there is going to be content I am going to bring into this episode. But obviously, track and field, when it comes to World Championships and Olympics, big Diamond League results, when some of the biggest athletes, Noah Lyles, etc. But on this topic, this isn't track and field related, but it's Olympics related, right? So this morning, taking my daughter to school, on the radio, it's announced that RAYGUNN, if you haven't heard this story, you've been living under a rock, but RAYGUNN has retired from professional breakdancing. Professional. Look, as many of you already know, I shouldn't go into this too much, but RAYGUNN is now known for one of the most bizarre choreographed moments in the history of any sport. Look, RAYGUNN is an Olympian. She is a breakdancer. It was the first time that breakdancing was included in the Olympics. She represented Australia and essentially, trying to pick the right words to say, but essentially just made a clown of herself on the world stage. Embarrassed Australia as far as I'm concerned. I think I was a little bit more aggravated when I saw it. I was watching it live thinking, what on earth is going on here? But I've had some time to reflect, and at the end of the day, we do need to respect the fact that she's 37 years old. And at some point, it's not easy to open your phone and see social media and continuously have jibes and memes and everything written about you. I don't know really what's going through her head, but at the end of the day, I don't know even... I'm trying to find the right words to explain what I saw, because it was so bad. Right? Her performance at the Olympics was so bad that I watched it thinking, she's taking the piss. She's not serious at all. There's no way. This choreography couldn't be serious. No, there's no way in the world. And she's hopping around doing the kangaroo or the wallaby, and she's doing, I don't know if it was some weird version of the snake or the worm, which is just going around on the ground. It was embarrassing. Absolute terrible performance. It was so bad that she scored across the board, zeros. And I'm starting to believe that when she came back, the attention she received was so phenomenal. I'm starting to think she did it on purpose. I really do. I believe that RAYGUNN may have done that on purpose. I really believe this was planned and executed to absolute perfection. They're talking about reality TV shows. She was one of the main people at the, well, what was it? What the award night was, the Logies or whatever it is. I know I don't watch that rubbish, but she was one of the main people there, and she's come on to other talk shows. Welcome RAYGUNN. I'm like, what are we welcoming? Why are we inflating and promoting mediocrity? Unless it was all planned. It must have been. It was such a disgraceful performance. Laughable. The whole world was laughing at her. Let me ask you a question. Who won the gold medal? Obviously, I can't hear you guys now, but who won the gold in the breakdancing competition? I have no idea who won the gold. Who won the silver? Who knows anything about what happened in that event? No one. The only thing that came out of it was RAYGUNN. It must have been on purpose. There is a point where you're the worst at what you do, and there's a point where you are doing something so bad, it must be on purpose. You know, I've seen some of her clips where she wasn't at the Olympics. None of it was really that good, but it was far better than the Olympics. Far better. She must have been taking the piss. The kangaroo hopping at the... It was terrible. But she's now retired from professional breakdancing. If that's professional, I'm not here. Because that was one of the most unbelievably unprofessional displays I've ever seen on a world stage. But I've got to tell you, I'm starting to think this woman is a genius. An absolute marketing mastermind. Because again, I ask you, who won the gold? Genius. If she gets deals out of this, reality TV, if she makes millions, then guess who the idiot is? All of us. We laugh at her. She's laughing all the way to the bank. Everyone knows RAYGUNN. My kids know RAYGUNN. My kids all do the RAYGUNN dances. Probably better than her, to be honest. Everyone knows RAYGUNN. Go down the street, say RAYGUNN. Everyone knows who you're talking about. Is she just a mega mind, mastermind genius? And she's plotted this and gone, you know what? I'm a break dancer. I'm going to do the worst thing you've ever seen. I'm going to hop around doing Australian kangaroo wallaby stuff. I'm going to go on the floor. You know what? I'm going to be terrible. And you watch the attention I get from this. Is that what she did? I'm not too sure. Even the way she was dressed was so ridiculous. I think we missed something here, guys. That's my episode for today, guys. Talk next week.